the Go Berserk with Email podcast with Navy nuclear engineer turned email software developer, Troy Broussard. So calm.
I'm pissed off, but I'm telling this because I am teaching you how to think differently and how to test differently.
So patient.
And Ben, that's put $500,000 into this company too, is being told that nobody can find the goddamn bug.
So charitable.
I'm going to start paying bounties every time somebody finds a bug. We're going to deduct $10 for that week.
So trusting.
Do not assume that anything works. Assume that nothing works.
And so sweet, it makes sugar taste just like salt.
I want to play into the sexiness of marketing automation, but I also want to slap the complexity of it.
The Go Berserk with Email podcast begins now.
Here we are back again, boys and girls, for another episode. Troy, what do you have for us today?
Well, I thought I'd reach into the boring box of tricks. How's that for an intro? Let's get them excited from the beginning. But no, seriously, I did consulting in marketing automation and email for years and years and years. And it was always the same old thing that I was looking at, people wanting to know what the best practices are. So today I thought that we would hit with a top 3 best practices for email and just keep it really simple and make this something that anybody can apply to any platform, even if they're on one of those non-Berserker Mail platforms, which we don't really discuss here. But if they are, in the fold, then these will work even more masterfully. So that's what I got for you here today, John.
I mean, that's generous. That's generous because that's one of the top things my clients ask me for. And I'm like so oblivious to this, but what are the best practices? And they always want best practices. Even the people that have been with me for years want best practices. I'm like, they're the same as they were the first time I told you 10 years ago when we started. Is that why you're saying it's boring?
Well, that's what I said. It's boring, but here's the reality. Business is boring. And this is why I think so many marketers just, really miss the boat because they get so wrapped up in the sex appeal of the latest hackathon for marketing tactics. I call it the hactical thinking, right? It's thinking of these short-term tactical approaches that are borderline just hacks that work for a few weeks or maybe never work or maybe just work for the guy that taught them once or something, right? And they get drawn into that and because it's sexy, it's fun, it's new. And at the end of the day, their business is an excuse and rationalization for their desire to want to learn and have fun, not necessarily make money. And, you may want to go back and listen to that one on the recording a couple of times because unfortunately, after coaching over 1,000 personal clients over the years, I can tell you that that's another problem that some entrepreneurs face is they're doing it for the love of the game instead of the zeros in the bank account. And, that's why I always come back to saying I'm not a marketer. I am a business person. I focus on business first, and business is boring. Business is boring. One of our coaching clients and long-term students and stuff with Ben and I is a gentleman that I love his business because the name of his business is Boring Old Business. And I love that because business, when you do it right, is boring. You focus on consistency, which happens to be the very first of our top 3 best practices. So let's dive right into that. Consistent daily email. This is not difficult. It's not radical. It's not sexy, but it is what pays the bills, getting those daily consistent emails written. And, what happens with this is a lot of people I get pushback on, I don't have enough to talk about. It's hard to write an email every day. Well, yes, it is. But you know what? It gets easier when you do it, like anything. And that's where the daily consistency comes into play. If you really push through that and force yourself to do it, you'll get better and your email writing will get better and your speed will get better. Everything you do about it will get better, but it takes the discipline of daily consistency. Now, When we talk about consistency, I want to kind of blow some myths out of the water here, because consistency does not mean mailing at the same time every day. That is not what I'm talking about, consistency. In fact, there's a concept that I teach about inconsistent consistency. Being consistently inconsistent is a thing. It's not just a clever play on words. You can be consistent in your daily email writing and daily email sending, but you can also mix it up and be inconsistent with the time of day that you send. Now, you can be more strategic about this, where you're purposely mixing it up over time when you schedule your emails out. That's a very strategic approach to it. But you can also be very haphazard and ad hoc about this. And I tend to be the haphazard and ad hoc approach. And the reason being is that I got a lot of shit going on. I'm running a few different companies, and to schedule it all out, it's just not the way I roll, man. I'm going on vacation with a business partner of mine and in my trading company. And we're taking a business trip to Portugal. And it's so funny because he and I are such opposite end of the spectrums. He's the guy that, like, he's already making reservations for where we're going to eat dinner in Lisbon. And I'm like, dude, I'll think about it when I'm hungry after I set foot in Lisbon. I'm not, it's just the way I do things. I don't like being scheduled, and I don't like being controlled. I like to do things in the flow. And so for me, I send out daily email, but I do it in the flow of when it feels right for me. Okay. So sometimes it'll be early in the morning. Sometimes it'll be late before I go to bed at night and realize I didn't have a time to work some time in, or I'd started an email and it just wasn't flowing. So I set it aside to come back to, and that's totally fine. They're getting the consistency of the communication from me, but they're getting it in an inconsistent manner. And that's actually good, because it keeps them looking out for, when is Troy going to email? When is that email coming? Right. So understand that consistency doesn't have to be boring, and consistency doesn't translate to a specific time of day, which I'm not even going to go into that, but that's like the most popular question we always get. Ben and myself too. We always get this question multiple times a week of, what's the best time of day to email? Like, there's no right answer to that. And I'm not even going to go to dignify it. The fact of the matter is, it depends on niche, it depends on demographic, and it really depends on how you've trained your list more than anything else, and what they are conditioned to expect. After all, everybody fits into the Pavlov's dog's philosophy, right? So what you train them and when you train them to salivate for your content is entirely up to you and how you do it. So consistency is the number one.
One question on that, though. Because I knew you were going to go to the next one there, but I can't let you off the hook.
No,
because
I was going to pause for you. I was rolling with you, brother. I was going to let you talk.
The pushback that I get.
Just a little bit before I cut you off.
A little taste, right? The pushback that I get from my clients a lot of times is the opposite. And not that they don't have enough to say, but they're worried about emailing too much. What would you say to those people?
Look, at the end of the conversation, they're either interested in what you have to offer and like it and want to buy from you at some point in time, maybe just not yet. Maybe the timing isn't right for them, or they're not. And if they're not interested, then pushing them away is exactly what you want to do. That is the beauty of daily consistent email. It is the litmus test of somebody's interest level with you. I've had people that have been on my daily email list for years before they actually purchase, and that's totally fine. It wasn't the right time, but they were a buyer all along. And what I mean by that is, when you build a buyer's list, you're building a list that is purposely excluding and pushing away freebie seekers, making them swim upstream a little bit to get onto the list, like having to opt in and confirm their opt-in, things to that nature, which are, more contrarian in this space of internet marketing, where everybody is this needy, 1980s, 11 o'clock at night salesman. Just buy now, $9.99, like with the, what is it? The checkered suit and the bright colors and the yelling in your face. Like, that's not what marketing is about. That's not what salesmanship is about. Getting people to swim upstream a little bit is fine. And so this becomes the litmus test. If you are pushing them away because you're emailing too much, then what that really says is they're just not that attracted to you or your offer. And they probably were never a real legitimate buyer lead in the first place. I have never, ever opted out from something that I was genuinely interested in. I may not have enough time, even if they email too much for me, I may, come back to it and go. But if I'm dialed into that, I don't want less, I want more. And this is something that people just have to understand. This mindset of, oh my gosh, I'm going to upset people, or how should I ask them how frequently they want to email? That's like some other stupid tactic I've seen that I'm not even going to talk about the gurus that, present that as being intelligent. It's like asking the deer how it wants to be hunted. Would you like me to hunt with a bow and arrow, or a 357 slug, or a shotgun slug? Which should you, come on. It's just ludicrous to ask somebody what their email preferences are. Either they're engaged with you or they're not. And daily consistent email is a beautiful litmus test. And it's why you get less spam complaints, less objections, less opt-outs when you email daily and consistently, because the people that are there, they know what they're getting in for. You disclose it at the opt-in, you let them know you're going to be emailing daily, you consistently deliver on that promise to them, and they know what to expect. There's no surprises. That's not the person that gets the opt-outs and the complaints and the spam issues and all the others. It's the inconsistent practitioners that have to deal with all of that.
Nice. I like that. The inconsistent practitioners, you're the ones that are going to get all the opt-outs and the complaints. It's true, though. I've seen it. I've seen it and I lived it, so I know it's accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. People have lost track of you. You're not top of mind, right? And that's what the daily consistency really does, is it keeps you top of mind. Because here's what you have to understand. If you do make it difficult for somebody to opt in, you don't make it easy, you're not playing games, you're actually forcing them to swim upstream a little bit to get onto your list. And if you have a qualified list in the first place, meaning that you're going to good traffic sources and you're getting good people and you have a good representative offer to them, you've got about a 50% chance of selling to that person. You really, truly have about a 50% chance over getting them to become a buyer. The trick is that they're going to buy in their time, not yours. And this is why all these funnel hacking expert guru wannabe teaching you how to just, all you need is one funnel away and, 12 emails and it'll make your life over and all of this. It's such a bunch of crap, because here's the reality. People buy when they want to buy, not because your 12 marketing email campaign finished. That is you trying to dictate the terms of when somebody's going to buy. That's not what you can do. And it really is delusional to think that you have that much influence over somebody. What you can do is present them with qualifications and quality and let them determine when they're ready to pull the trigger and buy. And so that's what I'm talking about, of the difference between a buyer's list. A buyer's list is built around those qualifications from the beginning, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy right away. And it may take a couple of years even for them to be in the right space or the right time to when they're ready to buy. But if you're doing it correctly, you've got about a 50% chance if you stay in the conversation. And the way you stay in the conversation and the way you stay top of mind is through consistent daily email. Otherwise, you're just playing luck of the draw. And, here's another interesting psychological kind of statement. People think that when they sell a training on a particular topic, or they sell somebody on the concept that they're teaching in their list, they think that they're moving that person out of that need, that they've stopped buying now because I bought this and I'm ready to move on. And the reality is, people don't change. If they are seeking traffic and they're seeking products about getting more traffic to their website, and you sell some products about traffic, the reason you need to be a consummate, prolific content creator and course creator and selling more and more and more is because that person's need, just psychological need to buy traffic content is not going to end with you. They will buy everything that you sell on traffic if they like you and if they like your training and respect you and they're getting results. They'll buy everything you offer. And if you don't offer enough and don't offer it fast enough, guess what? They'll go to somebody else and they'll start buying from them. Their need around that particular topic is fundamentally never satisfied. And if you understand that, and grasp that psychologically, then you'll realize that being a consummate content creator, there's a tongue twister for you, that will really lead to your revenue, because the people that are there because they align with a need that you're teaching, and that need is fundamentally never going to be satisfied. So the more that you're able to sell and teach on it, and the deeper you're able to go and hold high-level classes and coaching programs and local events and VIP days and coaching and whatever, that you go down deeper and deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole, the more profitable you're going to be, because their need is never fundamentally met.
Man. All right. I took you off track.
All right.
What's number 2 on the list?
You did. Number 2. But, hey, we don't... we just roll with things here. Number 2 is that, as a best practice, every email should have one and only one offer. There is no point in sending this value-based email mantra that you get taught all over the place either. Okay, this is the value comes from the email content, not in you providing free training. That's not what it's about. The value is in the relationship. The value is in the life lessons and things that are taught through the relationship you're building in the email. You can offer value without giving away your content. And, this concept that we have to give everything away and free emails and free value and all of that, it's ridiculous. There is value in every single promotional and sales email and marketing email I send out, but it's for the deep thinkers. It's for those that are capable of reading between the lines. It's for those that are capable of following a train of thought and extrapolating it into their own business and how they could apply it. And there's always just the ability to look at what I'm doing and study that and follow it. There's lots of value, but I don't do a bunch of freebie teaching in my emails, nor do I recommend that. And I think those that do are just placating to their own neediness and their own ego of feeling good about themselves rather than doing their customers a favor. This is what we're here for. We're here to further our customers' knowledge and accelerate their earnings or whatever it is that we're selling. So if we're selling peace and tranquility, if we're selling a happier marriage, it doesn't matter. If we want to get them results, we have to sell that to them. They have to buy into and commit into that decision. And if we're not doing that, then you really have to ask yourself, why are you in business? If you're afraid to make an offer for your product or service, then why are you in business? And if you say, well, I just want to help people, well, the way you help them is to sell to them. They can't be helped if they don't buy what you're offering. How the hell are you going to help them if you just giving them a bunch of free stuff and placating to their desires instead of actually helping them achieve their needs, right? So an offer a day keeps bankruptcy away. That's what we like to say. An offer a day keeps bankruptcy away. So, every daily email should have an offer. Now, I do want to clarify that an offer is not necessarily a sales pitch. An offer may be an offer for them to respond to your email because you're soliciting feedback on an upcoming, course that you're going to be releasing and wanting to know some of their pain points. That's an offer. An offer is a call to action. That call to action may be a link that takes them somewhere, but maybe it's a reply to that email that you're soliciting. That may be the offer. So sometimes this best practice and the one to follow, number 3, which is that you provide a link in every email, sometimes you break the rules and still abide by the rules. So you don't necessarily have to have a link in every email if your offer is to get somebody to reply to that email. And so that's something to keep in mind. But best practice number 3 is to have one and only one link in your email. As I said, there are some occasional exceptions to this. Sometimes I might have 2 links in an email. Sometimes I might have no links in an email that I'm asking somebody to reply. But 95% of the time, my emails have just a single link in them. Okay. What you want to understand is that there's an old adage in marketing. I wish I knew how far back this goes, but I've heard it for decades. And it's a joke about how does a marketer count? And they count one, too many. As soon as they get to 2, it's too many. They don't even get to 3. And that's the way the average consumer kind of reveals things. That's the way they process stuff. If you give them a choice, then the very friction that you raise in the process of that choice it causes them to not be a buyer. There's studies with this, even with like the lemonade stands, right? Where you just offer lemonade, yes or no, or you offer strawberry, peach, grapefruit, blah, 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 all these different flavors of lemonade, and sales go down. And the reason is because of that choice. That choice introduces friction and it introduces doubt. And instead of you thinking that it introduces A or B, that's not really true. It introduces A, B, or C, and C is do nothing. And the do nothing gets accelerated when you give them the A or B, because it now confuses and it makes them think more. Instead of just having that emotional trigger, they have to actually think and process. So we want to be concise, and we want to be focused on just a single link and make their decision reduce to yes or no. All right. Yes or no. And lastly, Jonathan, I know we're drawing into the end here, but I'm going to give you one bonus tip. And that is, don't friggin' be boring. Okay. Come on, guys. Entertain. And entertainment does not mean you have to be a comedian. It doesn't mean you have to be clever. It doesn't mean you have to have the best email subjects. It means you need to know your audience. And whatever they find entertaining, be entertaining. That might be curating content and curating, popular videos and sources that lead to your financial sector analysis that you provide, or whatever that is. Whatever your audience finds entertaining, be entertaining. If you're boring, you're going to push people away. Business needs to be boring. The finances and the making money, that part is boring. Your email content, not so much.
Nice. So daily consistent email communication was number 1. Number 2 was every email should have one bold offer. And the last one was every email needs to have a link. And you gave some other case studies where maybe that wasn't necessary. But the bonus was have a little bit of fun with it. Awesome, man. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. All right. So what do we have coming up for next time, Troy?
Well, I don't know. You're the master of the agenda. You tell me. What's our next?
Fine. I don't know how to tease this, but I know that we are going to be talking about metrics because everybody is so obsessed with metrics.
Oh, good. This is my favorite topic. I love just chastising all the silly metric obsessed, meaningless number crunching counters. Yep. We're going to go into all the silly and meaningless metrics and why you shouldn't friggin' care in the next session.
Looking forward to that. Another episode of Go Berserk with Email show is in the can.
To get a free Berserker Mail test drive with no credit card required, go to startmytestdrive.com. From there, you can play around inside the platform without pressure. Load up emails and campaigns to see how simple the interface is, and get comfy with everything before deciding to join. That's startmytestdrive.com.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.